We got Wendy joining us from Paris. You heard him, Wendy. What do you make of what Draymond Green had to say?
This is a third rail topic, Brian. This is a third rail topic because the Dream Team is unimpeachable. This is one of those situations that requires nuance, and there's going to be certain people that are not going to listen to nuance because for certain people it's just an ironclad answer. Here's what I'm going to say. Remember, the Dream Team did not have all of those players in their primes. Larry Bird was very close to retirement. Magic Johnson was in retirement, coming a year after the HIV diagnosis. Christian Laettner was not even in the NBA. So I want you to think about this from players 1 through 12, because that's what we're discussing, because this team plays 11 guys a game, as did the Dream Team, by the way. 1 through 12, there's a case. I'm not sure there's a case 1 through 5, because you look at the way Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan were playing, that was their prime. Scottie Pippen. But there's some comparable things between these teams. That team had 10 different players average 8 points. It was awesome. We saw it. Their average margin of victory was 43 points. This team has 10 different players that average 7 points. The depth on the rosters is very comparable. And the bottom end of the roster, you're talking about Tyrese Halliburton, who is an all-NBA player, basically being the 12th man. The 12th man for the Dream Team was Christian Laettner. I just want to be clear. I mean, that is the way I think that this team can get an edge, is if they say 1 through 12. 1 through 5, LeBron's not in his prime, Steph's not in his prime, Durant's not in his prime. I don't know about 1 through 5, but it's team. I think they've got a case, 2024.
I'm with Wendy on this for all of those reasons. And to point out, too, where Magic and Larry Bird were in their respective careers. Magic was 35 when he was on that 92 team. Larry Bird was 35. Magic Johnson was 32. We know that careers have been extended from the 1990s to where we are today. But the lineups that Steve Kerr has fielded throughout this tournament so far, to where we're arguing about Jason Tatum being the afterthought, a first-team all-NBA player, not playing in the game in the first game against Serbia, and all of the tweaking he's had to do with his groups to play guys around 10 to 12 minutes, to be adamant that he's going to win with these 12, and making a group of players become this selfless conglomerate, all of these superstar talents, the coaching job that Steve Kerr has done with this group, on top of the talent that you have with this group, there's no way that you can say that this isn't the deepest roster that Team USA has ever had. And this is this embarrassment of riches. Look at what Kevin Durant said. Kevin Durant coming off the bench. Yes, I know it's because of the calf injury, but just think about that. You've got 3 second-team All-NBA guys, some who were coming off the bench, 4 third-team All-NBA guys, and a first-teamer who was the afterthought of the first game of the Olympics for Team USA. There's no other team in the country right now in the world that can stake claim to what the United States has here, and the roles that these players have bought into. That's coaching. I know that this is kind of a thankless job, and you go in and the Dream Team is that gold standard for USA, with the gap closing and trying to get back to, that sort of prominence and maintaining that level of prominence. It's not an easy job. I know it feels like, okay, this team should run away with it, and our expectations are so sky high because of the level of talent on this group, within this group. That's not an easy thing to manage. So I feel like, in addition to this being the deepest team ever, this might be the best coaching job we've ever seen in the Olympics.
Wendy, I feel like Mad Dog. I guess I got to be the elder statesman here. Listen, I just love the Dream Team. Why? Because look, as you point out, you throw out Laettner, you throw him out of there. But at the bottom of their roster, they had guys who are not only part of the 75 greatest players, but Hall of Famers. Chris Mullin, John Stockton, even Pat Ewing didn't get a lot of burn on this team. And these guys are Hall of Famers, guys who made the 75 greatest players ever. They were beating people by 44. They certainly weren't getting 1-point victories over South Sudan. No, they were crushing teams at that time. And I know the game is different, but I'm saying this team was so deep and so good. Talking about beating them 5 out of 7 times, to me, that is crazy.
All right. Well, that's Draymond was a little aggressive for my taste in that. I'm not ratifying that take. Let me just say two things. One, as long as you're talking about depth, Team USA benched an MVP in pool play. Okay, Joel Embiid is an MVP 2 years ago, not 10 years ago, 2 years ago, didn't play. So just point that. The second thing is this team's case is not done. You know, they've played half the amount of games they need to win. In this what basically is now a tournament, an 8-team tournament, 3 rounds. I believe starting tomorrow with the quarterfinal games, this is the greatest international tournament in the history of the sport. And I'm going to give you my reasons why. There are 13 MVP awards represented in this tournament. Giannis is in this tournament. Jokic is in this tournament. 11 of the 15 guys who made All-NBA are still here competing for this. The Rookie of the Year, Victor Wembanyama. The Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Still in this tournament, okay? They are averaging a 24-point margin in this event. Let's see where they are if they're able to win 3 more games. Because in all honesty, if I were on the Dream Team, not that I would ever feel like I needed to defend anything, I would say, why are you talking about this when they haven't even won an elimination game yet? They have 3 very, very difficult games to try to win, starting with Brazil, but Serbia is on their side of the bracket, and I think Serbia is very formidable, regardless of what the score was the first time they played. So winning these next 3 games, to me, and how they perform in those 3 games will be what their case is, because this is an absolute verifiable gauntlet that they're trying to go through here.
Stage in Nigeria. Now, if the Americans in that game, they'll face the winner of Serbia and Australia for a chance to reach the gold medal game. Wendy, in your opinion, biggest obstacle for the women winning gold?
Well, first off, let me offer congratulations to Nigeria, the first African team ever to advance to the Olympic quarterfinals, men or women. We're not far away from the African teams advancing in the men. They're getting very close. The first 3 games, all 3 games, the women have been a little challenged at times. I say a little, like gotten within 4 to 8 points because their shooting from the outside hasn't been great. They have yet to find that range. They were actually behind through the first quarter 2 nights ago against Germany. Where they're so impressive has been their defense. Now, I have got to take my hat off to Cheryl Reeve, their head coach, and all the players, of course. She has gotten them to commit to defense. They have so much offensive talent that even though they haven't shot the ball well for stretches, and that may be where they're vulnerable, they have so much offensive talent. Asia Wilson's top of her game. Breanna Stewart just outplays everybody of her size in the world that they could probably just go play offense enough to win. But watching them play defense against Germany was a clinic. Their defensive aggression and intensity and active hands and ball pressure, it was awesome. Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum are giving everybody hell on the perimeter. Breanna Stewart's working hard. Asia Wilson had 3 steals in that game. Their defensive energy is amazing to watch. I'm telling you, this is one of the most inspiring teams to watch because they play out of position, they reduce their roles, and you know what's interesting? They're not really well liked on the international stage. Because they've been so successful, their crowds are not that friendly. The U.S. men, they love them. Other than when they're playing France, if they play France, you know, watching them warm up is like a religious experience for these fans over here. It's not that case for the women. They get booed a little bit. That's why you saw that video of Sabrina Ionescu, you know, giving the silence to the crowd the other day against Belgium because the crowd was hissing and booing against them. So it's actually a completely different experience to watch the women play, and they do everything the right way. They share the ball. They're averaging like 30 assists a game. They are such a joy to watch. My expectation is that they will not be seriously challenged, but there is that little situation where they have been able to hit their outside shots.
That hate is strong when you win 58 straight, Courtney.
Yeah, 58 straight. I don't think there is a weakness with this team. And we could nitpick into, okay, maybe Cheryl Reeve shouldn't have put Diana Taurasi and Chelsea Gray into the starting lineup. Okay, well, she yanked them pretty quickly. And then Jackie Young coming off the bench has 19 points. She's the spark that they needed for that outside shooting. They had a 28-point lead at the end of the third quarter. I find it hard to believe that anybody's going to challenge Team USA. And of course, there's the thought of, well, the gap from the rest of the world is eventually going to shrink and people will catch up to where Team USA is. Well, we don't have to worry about that in 2024. This team, like the men's team, is the deepest in the field.
Yeah.
And they truly haven't. If you take a look at the results of these games and what we saw from what Wendy was pointing out, the defense last night, 23 turnovers.
Wow.
3 offensive rebounds for Germany. That is a clinic.
Yeah.